guys. So the first and obvious question is you took like 11 years in the last record for to record it. So in 2 years you recorded two albums. Why is that?
Yeah, that 11-year hiatus is old news now. Nowadays we do it in 2 years. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was. I think it was a lot of things. Sometimes people forget that within those 11 years, there was a pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which was, I don't know, 3-4 years or something. Like you could tour it or not really do anything. I mean, and before that, I mean, I think we toured the Lex Hives record for almost 3 years. So, I mean, that's like 6. And then that's where the question comes in, like whatever happened after that. We just, I mean, it was we didn't have songs at the time. So we had a hard time getting new music out. We weren't in touch with our mentor and advisor, Randy Fitzsimmons. And I mean, it was just hard getting stuff done. It was nerve wracking, because otherwise you just tour and you're like a novelty act. You just play your old songs. You want to make new music. And well, here it is then a couple of years down the line, and we've actually, managed to squeeze out 2 great albums. And I think we're almost on cycle now. Like if the Hives release a record every 5th year, I think we're kind of back on track. I don't want to do the exact math, but it's something like that.
Okay, got it. So I read the interview, Pele. Yeah, I don't know how it.
Yeah, you pronounce it like you're a football player.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, Pele.
Yeah.
And he said that the new album is raw as fuck. When it wasn't raw as fuck, the Hives.
Yeah, I don't know. That's you don't even have to say that. Everything is raw as fuck.
Yeah. What does he mean with that?
We don't understand.
Yeah, we don't understand what he means. But it's probably the plan was to make like one of these big arena records.
Okay.
And it's the plan was to sort of make it big. I'm not sure every time, but I mean, the Hives, I guess, are pretty successful. Pretty raw, pretty successful.
Yeah. Successful and raw as fuck.
Yeah, raw as fuck. And so, how Josh Homme and especially Mike D were involved in the new album?
Josh was kind of, I guess, him and Pelle shooting ideas between each other, kind of talking about how to do stuff, and Josh saying what he thought about songs and his stuff, and like he wasn't in the studio or anything, like when we recorded.
Okay.
Mike D was in the studio. They sort of did the same thing, you sort of send ideas back and forth, and then Mike was in the studio in Stockholm, and I think maybe Pelle was does he have a studio? Pelle was over here in America. Maybe he has a studio at his house or something here. Malibu or something.
Here in Malibu.
Over there in Malibu.
Yeah, over there.
Over on the west coast. So and then there was another guy called what's his face?
Kenny B?
Yes, Kenny Beats. He was also involved a little bit. So there's been people sort of.
There was also a guy called Pelle Gunnarfelt that was involved a lot of bits.
Yeah. He's been there for the whole ride. And there's also a guy called Yuki Holland who's in a band called Teddy Bears who was in for, like he plays something and then he's got an idea of how to do something. But Pelle Gunnarfelt, the guy who recorded the last record, is probably the guy who then was mostly involved in. He was involved in the whole process.
And you recorded at the studio of Anderson from ABBA, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he owns a great studio, and you can just go in there and record. I mean, it's a commercial studio, so you can work there. And it's on an island in Stockholm. Like when you go into the Stockholm archipelago, kind of, you come into town. So it's basically, what is it, like 500 meters to the center of town, kind of. But it's on an island, so it's like really secluded and nice. And it's just like, birds and trees and water all around the island. And then he's got a really nice studio there. We recorded Lex Hives there. Like the most of Lex Hives is recorded there. Probably most of Death of Randy Fitzsimmons is recorded there. And most of this record is recorded.
Awesome. So you decided for Enough is Enough as the first single. And I remember that at the time of Hate to Say I Told You So, you preferred like Die Alright instead of
yeah.
who decided this new single?
It wasn't me, I can tell you that. Because I was involved in saying like, hey, Dial Right's a single, and then the big song was obviously It's Our Told So, which pretty much everyone else around me knew. So it wasn't me. I can't remember who took, usually it's something that sort of develops during the time of making a record that people, like sometimes you'll have a song that everybody favors as a single, going into it. And then when you record it, it doesn't really, maybe you don't nail the song the way you wanted to nail it or something. And it doesn't have, it doesn't end up being the single. But I think this one, pretty much early on when you play it to, you play it to record companies, you play it to, whatever publishers, so you play it to people who, work in, their, whatever they might be, streaming services or whatever, YouTube, and they all will maybe then pick a favorite. Maybe this was the one. I don't really know how it happened, but I don't mind at all. It's a great song and it's supposed to be there. It's supposed to be a first single. So
and every time you release a new record, there's a new uniform in black and white. Now this time you were, at least on the cover, you were wearing crowns, fur, something like that. Does it send a message or? No.
It is sending a message. There's two messages on this record.
One is that we're kings.
One is that we're kings.
Yes.
That's one of the messages. That's pretty easy.
Yeah.
You see that it's on the picture.
Yes.
And then the record is called The Hives Forever, Forever the Hives, which means that we are also now kings for infinity. We are now the hives for infinity. We were saying like maybe on the last record, people were people were really scared. Is this over? Is this the end of the Hives? Is this the last record? No. It's not. We'll be your kings forever and ever and ever, whether you want us or not.
Okay, so I have a curiosity. You've been the opening act for Rolling Stones, for AC/DC. Could you share a backstage story, favorite backstage story for these tours? Because these guys are like...
Yeah.
80s.
Well, I think a pretty pivotal moment for us was playing with the Rolling Stones. Because we were maybe late 20s or something when we played with them. And, well, they must have been in their 60s or 70s or something.
Probably in their 80s.
Yeah. Well, but the thing was that we had, like Mick Jagger then invited us into his dressing room and, talked to us a bit and gave us advice or, how to do stuff. But it was, I think the biggest difference was to us because we were like always thinking like we can't do this past 30. Like there's no way we can play this type of music and be a good band past 30. Like anybody who's older than 30 was they should quit whatever they're doing. But then when we played with them, the Rolling Stones, they played for I think almost 3 hours, and Mick Jagger was like running like crazy all over the stage like all the time. And yeah, like we were, maybe he was 60, 70, but we thought he was 80 or something. And it was just like, amazing. And his dressing room, when we were in there, it's basically just fruit and like a treadmill. Like he was working to be what he was. He was working hard to be, the lead singer of the Rolling Stones. And that was kind of, and we watched their sound check as well. And they were playing, Satisfaction. And they weren't really, they thought they weren't really getting it right. They were like, no, it's not like real like this. It's kind of more like that, which is a song they played for over, 40 years. So we thought that was kind of fun. But it also kind of made us think that, holy fuck, like you can do this till you're 80 then. Like we thought we couldn't do it past 30, but we could do it. So I think in a way that's, we have them to thank that we're still around.
Did you get any advice from Pink when you toured with her?
She gave us a bottle of whiskey, I think.
That's advice.
Yeah.
Advice enough.
Yeah. Just drink it.
Try it.
So it's been 30 years of the band now. And could you point some highlights of the career, like the Rolling Stones, like the success of Tick Tick Boom and the massive
I think for me the highlight is that we can still do it. It's a lot of bands that come up and have a short bit of fame and then they kind of disappear. I'm happy that we can still do this and people still show up after 32 years.
Yeah,
that's my highlight. Like it's a forever highlight.
I agree. The highlight of your day every day when you're touring is the show. I mean, to do those
Well-
shows and to have that thing, be physical and do that thing with fans and stuff. I mean, it's pretty awesome. I mean, it's I don't know if I mean we're so fortunate to be doing this and to have what we have. It's pretty amazing. But I also say, like, I think the touring with AC/DC in Australia was pretty amazing. Because, I mean, AC/DC, that's the first band that I got into when I was 6 years old. I wanted to be AC/DC, like, I had a friend, an older friend in the same street. He cut out these guitars out of wood, and we, pretend to be AC/DC, and then, whatever. What is it, 30 years down the line or something, you get to play with them. It's pretty amazing. So that was kind of like a sort of a full circle moment. But I agree with Mike. Like his take on it is even better. To be able to do this stuff every day and to enjoy it as much as we do every day is fortunate.
And was Malcolm alive when you?
He was alive, but he wasn't on the tour.
Yeah, that was the first tour
Stevie
without Malcolm.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, he was in rehab sometime in the 80s, I think. They did a tour with
Okay,
without him then. Yeah.
But yeah, he was not on the tour. It was Stevie, but
Stevie-
he was alive. So like
Steven jumped in when he was in rehab too.
Yeah.
And
Go-to guy.
last question is, I will quote Joe Strummer. He said, "The Hives saved rock and roll once." Was the biggest.
He even
compliment-
said thanks for saving rock and roll.
Yeah.
Like Pelle met him at some show or something, and he said, "Thanks for saving rock and roll. It needed it." He said.
And was the biggest compliment you had?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Actually.
probably. I would think so.
Because that defines the career, right? So
Yeah, totally. And it's also a kind of, it's almost the nicest way of saying good job, good work. From basically like a colleague or an idol. It's pretty nice to hear.
Okay, thank you very much, you guys.
Thank
for
you.
your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.